Good morning. Good to see you all here this morning. We begin our time together in song with the hymn Enter, Rejoice, and Come In by Louise Raspini. Please make sure your microphone is muted and sing along energetically and enthusiastically to welcome in this beautiful sunny morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is my great joy and tremendous privilege to serve our faith as the minister of this congregation. I am so glad and so grateful we can be together this morning in whatever way is possible. So good to be together. If you have a chalice at home to light in a few minutes, please go get it, and I will begin our words of welcome. We arrive here from many places and many life experiences as we gather in this cherished space to recall our true selves, reflect on the meaning of our lives, and explore questions of ultimacy together. We are people who are new to Unitarian Universalism, and we are people who are lifelong Unitarian Universalists and people all through that spectrum. We are people of many religious beliefs and spiritual practices. We affirm and promote the responsible search for truth and meaning. We are people of many genders and sexualities. We are people of many ethnicities, origins, ages, shapes, sizes, and expressions of our true selves. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people. We are people of all ages, family structures, and each of us brings gifts, talents, and passions that serve to affirm and promote communities with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We are people of covenant who engage with one another in ways that promise and affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We are people who care deeply for our planet and understand we are inextricably and profoundly connected with the web of all existence. We are people who welcome all who are seeking a community of faith that welcomes your whole self, all that you were, all that you are, all that you yearn to be. And you are just where you should be this morning, in a room full of compassionate, thoughtful Unitarian Universalists ready to meet you where you are. You are welcome here. You are home. If you are a newcomer this morning, we welcome you and hope you will indeed find your spiritual home here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connections and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to come several times to experience the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition. Come and be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. Welcome. And now I invite us all to take a big, deep breath to bring ourselves fully into this precious time we've set aside to be together. And maybe take another one, just to be sure we're fully present. And as sound vibrates through us and around us, may we be reminded how deeply and profoundly connected we are with one another, with all life, all beings on this planet, and with all the stars in the cosmos. We are one. We are one. The words for our call to worship this morning come from the Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed, titled The Central Task of the Religious Community. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone, our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. Have your chalices ready to light? I'm ready. The words for our chalice lighting, called Ignite Us in Radical Love, come from Reverend Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people, united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May this flame melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This, a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals. So, if you're new to Unitarian Universalism, you might not know that we are really curious people. And so many of our congregations now have a wonder box to help us feed our curiosity and help us to tell stories of our faith. So let's see what's in our wonder box this morning. Oh, there's creatures. They're not live. They're soft. So we have a bunny, and we have a turtle, which is a lot bigger than the bunny, which isn't usual, but I couldn't find my small turtle. So we have Donatello here with us today. Ninja turtle, yes. And this is actually a hare, not really a bunny. And so you might know what story I'm going to share. I'm going to share a fable attributed to Aesop, a slave and a storyteller believed to have lived in ancient Greece between 620 and 564 BC. This is a story based on Aesop's fable, The Hare and the Tortoise, written by Rob John. "Look at me," said the hare to the other animals. "Just look how fast I can run." The hare ran across a field as fast as he could. All the animals agreed that, yes, the hare was very fast. The hare ran back. "See," he shouted, "I'm not even out of breath." "Yeah, that was fast," said the fox. "So who wants a race?" said the hare. "Anybody think they could beat me?" None of the animals spoke. "See," said the hare, "you're all too scared to even try." "I'll have a go," said the tortoise. The hare laughed. "You? The slowest creature in the whole world? I'm not wasting my time racing a tortoise." "What's the matter?" said the tortoise. "Scared I might beat you?" Some of the animals laughed at that, so the hare said, "All right then, tortoise, let's have a race right now. Then we'll see who's laughing." "Not today," said the tortoise. "We'll race next week. Got to do a bit of training first." Next morning, the animals watched the tortoise do his training. First, he did some gentle stretching exercises to warm himself up, and then he started to run. "Has he started running yet?" asked the fox. "Hard to tell with tortoises," said the badger. He's definitely moving." "Is he?" said the fox. "Tortoise, are you sure about this?" said the crow. "I mean, the hare is very fast, and well, don't worry," said the tortoise. "This is just day one. I'll speed up. You'll see." On the day of the race, crowds of animals came to watch. The tortoise slowly made his way to the starting line. And then suddenly, the hare arrived at top speed, wearing a brand new tracksuit and 4 expensive-looking sinkers. "The race starts here," said the fox, pointing to a line on the ground, "and ends at that tree on the other side of the field. The first one to touch the tree is the winner." "Right, let's get on with it," said the hare. "Ready, tortoise? Ready to see some real speed?" "I'm ready," said the tortoise. "All right, ready, steady, go," said the fox, and the race began. The hare roared off, then stopped and looked back. The tortoise was still crossing the starting line. The hare ran back to the tortoise. "Didn't you hear him say go? You can start, you know." "I have started," said tortoise. "Look," said the hare, "you're going so slowly, I'm going to have a rest. Might even have a little sleep. I'll finish the race when I wake up and still beat you by miles." The hare lay down in the sun and fell asleep. The tortoise kept going. Slowly, steadily, he moved across the field, and by evening time, he was getting close to the finishing tree. Still the hare slept, and now the animals started to get excited. "You know what? I think he might win," said a rabbit. "I can't believe it," said the badger. "The tortoise might actually win." The animals started to get excited, and as the tortoise got close to the finishing tree, they started to cheer. "Come on, tortoise," they shouted. "Nearly there. Keep going, old friend. You got this. Keep going. You can do it." But the noise of the cheering crowd woke up the hare, and he looked across the field and saw the tortoise about to reach the tree, and in a flash he was running. The tortoise heard the hare thundering up behind him, but he kept going and going, and suddenly he was there. Just in time, the tortoise touched the tree with his nose. He'd done it. The tortoise had beaten the hare, fair and square. "There you go," said the badger. "Slow and steady, sometimes better than fast and flashy." "Not fair," said the hare. "I was asleep. We have to run the race again. It's not fair." But no one was listening to the hare. So that turtle knew he could, and let us sing together, "I Know I Can." Words by Dennis Hamilton, music by Jeannie Gagne.
what I thought I knew. I recently finished listening to I Think You're Wrong, but I'm Listening, a guide to grace-filled political conversation by Sarah Stewart Holland and Beth Silvers, also narrated by both of the authors. I do love listening to a narrator, an author, narrating their own story, as I feel like I'm getting a real, from the heart, authenticated version and a preview into the author's self outside of the words themselves. Much like listening to music, for me, the inflections and tonal subtleties help me understand the meaning of the book much more fluidly than imagining what feelings went behind the words themselves. The intro to the book online says, "Two friends on opposite sides of the aisle provide a practical guide to grace-filled political conversations while challenging listeners to put relationship before policy and understanding before argument." I read this book along with a friend of mine who is committed to helping me grow myself personally, ethnically, socially, and ethically. We read, we chat, we talk, and we support. This book was released in February of 2019, and in 2015, the authors started a Pantsuit Politics podcast, and I have not seen any of those yet. Not sure that I will, but I might. Sarah Stewart Holland is a Democrat. Beth Silvers is a Republican. Holland and Silvers are both Christians, and while this verbiage and the references to scriptures for further reflection at the end of each chapter was something I found a continuous struggle throughout the book, I did also find myself reflecting on how I might need to change my thinking so that I can activate my own more authentic ability to listen to the other side. The authors themselves, they admit their advantages. They are both middle-class, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant women whose husbands are extremely supportive financially and emotionally with their careers and how they have decided to raise their children, which will be another book one day, I'm sure. I struggled a lot listening to this book in its entirety. I felt pressures to complete the assignments at the end of each chapter, not in a good way. I finally realized, though, that my goal was not for the purpose of crossing over anywhere, but for engaging in meaningful dialogue in an effort to build community from both sides of the walls of beliefs and lifestyles. And surprisingly to myself, I did change some of my thinking. I thought, in order to stand up for my beliefs, I had to be ready to challenge and engage in the hard conversations all the time. What I learned in the chapter called Take Off Your Jersey is that sometimes really listening means setting aside the challenge of right to make sure you are ready to understand the why first. Then your approach to conversation can be empowered with empathy, if not agreement, and compassion instead of indignation. I thought voting a straight ticket was a quick and painless way to get in and out with a healthy can-do attitude. However, if I really think my voice matters, and if I really believe that my vote makes a difference, then I need to do my due diligence on the issues and the voices promising change and find out who it affects, who it costs, and what the outcome is for all of society. And then vote in every local election, as those are the spots where the most change can be effected for the community that I and those I see every day live and try to survive in. I thought, two sides of the coin, good, bad, right, left, us, them. What I discovered in the section about giving grace, the one time I didn't turn inside at the mention of taking a look at the scripture supports, was when I realized, when I really thought about things like Judas is both a sinner and a child of God, just like the rest of us. While it is hard for me to think about those people who turn my stomach for their beliefs, words, and actions as anything due compassion or understanding, the reality is that they are themselves children, parents, grandparents, human beings, heartbeats, hopes, dreams. I thought everything needed to be resolved in order to move forward. I thought the goal of finding the answer was the end result and should be sought above and beyond everything else. What I am realizing, however, is that if resolution is the only goal, then defeat will be, more often than not, the end result. The harder goal, staying in the conversation, can be what is needed to find peace, healing, and some common ground so more work can be done. And it is about doing the work, all of it. I thought I needed to give up my beliefs in order to move forward. No. I just need to stay present with who I am and who I am talking to. For me, holding a sign is still easier than holding a conversation. And I should say that I only built my first sign and held it up 6 years ago. Shutting down disagreements is still preferable for me to digging in for understanding and empathy. But that does not build the kind of community that allows for everyone to feel welcome in the circle of love. I still have my non-negotiables, and everybody does. Those don't fade. They don't have to. I just need to look around and see the person behind the words, the struggle behind the shouts, and the soul behind the eyes.
Thank you, Lydia. It's beautiful. This service is sparked by two readings from colleagues of mine. One, the Reverend Victoria Safford, who said, "The goal of beloved community is reconciliation, not to destroy your opponent, nor cast them out, but to stay in the struggle until love wins." And how do we know when love wins? Well, I think it has to do with what Lydia just said, is being able to see the soul behind someone's eyes. And the other colleague, I'm going to paraphrase, it was our opening words, Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed. I'll paraphrase a bit of what that reading was. "The central task of religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. Discover the relationship amid the particulars of our lives. And this inspires us to act for justice, not alone, but in community." The word struggle is an interesting concept. There's the struggle for justice, the struggle for relationship, the struggle for connection, the struggle to make ends meet. So much is a struggle. And in the Hopi prophecy, they say, banish the word struggle from your vocabulary. So I wrestle with that a bit too. I think struggle has to do with some attachment to an outcome. That we struggle for justice and relationship and connection because we are attached to it being a certain way, looking a certain way, being our way. And I'm not saying struggle doesn't exist, but it's an interesting thing to look at it as maybe a judgment rather than a reality. I remember being in an anti-racism workshop at a UU racial Allies for Racial Equity conference, and a young Black woman was leading the workshop. It was a good workshop. At some point, I blurted out something like, "Well, I'm not going to see it in my lifetime." And she was right on top of that. Oh yes, we will see this in our lifetime. And I just stopped there. I didn't respond, but I looked at her and thought, she's at least 30 years younger than me. So maybe she will see it in her lifetime, but I'm not as confident about mine. If we are doing this work of building relationships and connection and working for justice, it is because it is the right thing to do, not because we expect to have full fruition of what we are working towards. If we do, that's great. But we do it because it's the right thing to do. And we have a lot working against us in these efforts. Our Western culture is built on the whole idea of colonizing, of being able to take over things, of being entitled, of consumption and consumerism and individualism and competition. That's our roots. It goes way back to the Roman Empire. I mean, any effort to take over other people was all about gaining resources, gaining property, annihilating the enemy. It's in our DNA for those of us who were socialized in Western culture. We were not socialized for collaboration, to serve the common good, for generating creativity, for seeking shared purpose. Those are ideals that we still hold up and we speak of, but it's not our first nature. This religious community is countercultural. What we do, working together to create a model of beloved community, a community of non-aggression, non-violence, a community of shared purpose and love and connection and care for one another and the common good. We are countercultural in that. And that's what the faith communities of all types do. They work to be counter to this Western narrative built on colonization and white supremacy values and culture. We are excavating through complex webs of white supremacy culture to create a new way of being in community, without aggression and with joy. This will be a joyful day, even though there will be challenges today in this world, in this community, in this county. There will be people who are suffering and dying and homeless and hungry and all of that. And yet there is also joy. They are not separate. There is joy in the struggle each time we see that we are making a little bit of headway into building those connections and compassion that the world so much needs. We have to excavate through our biases, our cultural expectations, our fear, our greed, our envy, our competition, our anger, to excavate through all of that to find down at the heart the love, the spark of humanity in another's eyes. And it isn't about being right or wrong or making another person or another group see things our way, but to be able to find enough common space. As Lydia pointed out, we share so much with other people. We are parents, grandparents, we are children, we are people who work in all kinds of different fields. We have a whole range of interests and hobbies and activities that we do. We can find common ground with people. We can listen. We can hear. All of this requires us to expand ourselves, our circles, and that makes us stronger. I'm not suggesting that we're going to create a super beloved community in my lifetime, but I think we can make progress every day with every connection. It's not a safe journey. It's not a safe journey. We have to be vulnerable and humble and put ourselves out there, but it is a supported journey. We support one another in this. When it gets hard, we can turn to someone else and say, hey, it's getting hard, I need a break, can you jump in? Or when it's getting hard, we can talk to one another, have an accountability partner to share, here's what I'm struggling with, this is what's hard. I'm starting to really look more deeply at myself in this too. I recognize more and more the white fragility that's in me, how scared I am sometimes to say that I might say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, that I will cause harm. And I can see places in my life where that has caused me to step back, where I should be leaning in. So I'm recommitting to lean in those hard places, to stop avoiding the risk of making mistakes and causing harm, because avoiding it still causes harm. Not doing something can cause just as much harm as doing something. So those of us who see the injustice around us, who see the racism in our community, who see the hungry, the poor, the injustices of economics, the injustices of race, the injustices of status, of citizenship, the injustices of all kinds that are in our society, when we see these, we must act. We must act. We, people of good conscience, must act. But we must act wisely, and we must act together. We need one another to be stronger, to stay in the struggle. We're going to make mistakes, beloveds. I know I make mistakes. And I try to own them when I do and forgive myself. And when I witness mistakes, I try to forgive the other person who made that mistake. So working on forgiveness is a big, big part of my spiritual practice and my journey. We all make mistakes. We will cause harm. And we then need to forgive ourselves and one another and begin again in love. And that's our pastoral message for this morning. And I ask you to join me in this choral response. We begin again in love. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible,
we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for each time we have struck out in anger without just cause,
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others,
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit,
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Our apologies for the, what do you call that? A tech blip, a tech hiccup. But thank you for continuing with the chorus of that. Our congregation is committed to creating a more compassionate world, and to this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization selected by our Giveaway the Plate committee. Our first quarter plate recipient is Beyond the Ribbon, a Gwinnett-based organization advocating for support and resources beyond the diagnosis of cancer to educate, inspire hope, cultivate awareness, and empower individuals. I don't know if other people can see the slide that's up. I am not able to see it.
No, ma'am.
So bear with us for a moment. I'll continue to tell you about Beyond the Ribbon. Their volunteers educate, support, and provide resources to patients and their families, and offer various initiatives to increase community support for people living with cancer. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation, so I ask that you please give generously to support the work of this important ministry in our wider community, as well as the vision and mission of our congregation. So we'll listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing morning prayer, and some of you may be able to see the slides, some of you may not. But as we listen to Brian's arrangement of Piotr Tchaikovsky, we'll see on the screen maybe ways to contribute to our offering via PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check payable to UUCG. You can always go to our website, and up in the upper right corner is a donate button or a give. I think it says give, and click on give, and you'll see all these ways to contribute.
And the link is in the chat as well.
Christiana has put it in the chat as well. If you are worshiping with us for the first time, your presence here today is a generous gift to this community, and you may choose to let the plate pass. The offering will now be most gratefully received. Try it this way. Let me try that again with my microphone on. May the generous gifts received this week move us towards creating a more compassionate and connected world. Thank you. I am so grateful for Lydia Patrick for offering her reflection on our theme this morning. I'm also very grateful to Russ Taddeo for continuing almost a year now of being our audio video tech person. I am asking all of you to give your great appreciation to Christiana McQuain, our professional religious educator, coordinator of family ministries, for dedicating nearly a year to being our Zoom manager. Now is the time for our call to connection. To stay strong and vital as a community, we need to seek ways to connect between Sundays, and we're doing that. We have found that over 125 people a week are taking part in our various programs. That's not separate individuals. It might be the same person coming to a lot of things, but that's a good participation rate, so let's keep it up. If you are new to our congregation, please text welcoming to the number on the screen, and you'll receive just a few texts and emails for a few weeks to guide you in connecting. I encourage you to sign up for our weekly e-news that comes out on Fridays with information about what's going on in the congregation. And please check out our website if you haven't already done so. On our website, you'll see, everyone will see a register for events button that is like in the middle, top middle on the right, where you'll see a list of events that are coming up that you can sign up for. So please do that. If you are looking for past services and want to hear more of what we've had in the past, or you've been coming regularly but you missed one or two, they are up on our YouTube channel, and you can go there to watch those services. Looking for ways to serve. Today is our food collection for the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministry. We will have people there from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock today receiving donations. We do this on the first Sunday of every month, so it'll happen again on March 7th. So please respond to the call and bring food. We are sending them several hundred pounds every month, and that's very much appreciated. Thank you. Also, continuing to donate platelets for Team Terry. Terry is actually receiving more platelets now, and we need to make sure that bank stays full for him and for others who need the life-giving serum. And now also I want to make sure that you know that you've been keeping up with our administrator, Sharon Ewan, has been doing a great job of putting the 30 Days of Love information out onto our Facebook group and in the e-news and in the newsletter. Every day there is something that you can engage with from the website, the 30 Days of Love website, during this time that typically is mid-February or mid-January to mid-February. We have this 30 Days of Love all around Unitarian Universalists around the country. So please take a look at that. If you want to get connected, here's some things coming up that I want to make sure you're aware of. Tomorrow night, our Gwinnett Understanding Secular Truths, known as GUST, is having a program called Quarantine Connections. That starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. You can get the link on our website. And then book club is coming up at the end of the month, but I want to make sure you know what book to read. It's Other People's Pets. It's on the screen there. And that is at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, the 24th. And our elementary religious exploration program takes place on Sundays at 12:30, except for the second Sunday when we have our Spiral Scouts program. And so resources are provided for RE at home during that second week. If you have elementary school age children and have not yet registered them for our religious exploration program, please consider doing so. All our programs for children require registration in order to gain access, and they will meet at Zoom at 12:30 today, and next Sunday is second Sunday, so that will be material sent home for next Sunday. Our adult religious exploration program for adults and teens takes place every Sunday at 10 a.m. and it's always on our monthly theme. We are currently we're starting a new theme now, Beloved Community. Please come to those programs. They're very enriching, and it's a great way to increase your search for truth and meaning. Other opportunities to connect. Our choir meets every Tuesday night at 7 for check-in and to get more information about the upcoming virtual choir pieces we're working on, and to share ideas about how we do those. Yarns from the Heart, first and third Wednesdays. Courageous Coffee House every Thursday at 6. Bring music, poetry, something to share. Women's Spirituality on second Friday, so I believe that's coming up this week. And Belief Exploration will be next Sunday at 12:30. Exploring Tarot with Sherry is at 4 o'clock every Sunday. If you are in need of more chocolate, cocoa, or coffee, we have dark chocolate only. We have cocoa mix, and we have 3 different kinds of coffee in stock. So text to that number if you'd like some coffee, cocoa, or chocolate brought to you, and we'll make those arrangements. And now please join me in saying the words we say as we extinguish our chalice, and then we'll sing together our closing song, Lean on Me by Bill Withers. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain.
Our closing words come from the Reverend Jonalou Johnstone. We shall overcome. When we can truly celebrate the diversity of contribution and talents offered by all people, we shall overcome hatred and prejudice and oppression. When we can truly extend our hands to one another in loving acceptance, we shall overcome the past that haunts us now. Living in peace and freedom, we shall overcome the wrongs that have happened and the debts left unpaid. Let us join together in that commitment to overcome. Let us say together, Amen. Our service has ended, and now our service to one another and our wider communities begins. Be well, beloveds. Please continue to take really, really good care of yourself. I know many of you have started getting vaccinations, and that's wonderful. I'm trying to keep a list, so I know where we're at with that. And still, there's a stronger mutant of this virus out there. Please take good care. Please be careful. And I know it's hard. And I love you all, and you're so precious. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week.